Welcome back. We're going all day live videos today. This is probably going to be the last one of the day. We're talking about how to define short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. Okay, and this is really second nature for me by now because I've made a bunch of videos about this. A couple of years ago, I used to teach this to groups of people and individuals, and I think it's really fun because I also hit the goal. So setting the goal is really fun because when you know you're going to hit the goal, setting the goal is almost the same experience as hitting the goal. You might not understand that right away, but if you get that, then you're 90% there. So setting your goal is a lot of the work. Most people never define where they're going, so they're like Earl Nightingale says, a ship without a rudder, which actually he ripped that off from another book I read, but a ship without a rudder, like you're just floating around the ocean, the wind. People are going to come through and interrupt you, and you're not, if you don't even have a goal, don't talk to me. So let's get into it. I've been setting goals for years, and I've been hitting goals for years. Just really quickly, let me tell you some goals that I've hit so that you actually watch the whole video and understand that I know what I'm talking about. Some of the first goals I hit, I got my black belt. That was really, took years, took me about 7 years, which was probably too long, but that was a goal I had. I'm not counting graduating college, but maybe graduating with honors. But like getting a black belt was a specific goal. And I wanted it from that specific school, from that specific master, and I got it in 2006. So that was awesome. Also, another goal, I'm not bragging, but these are all going to sound like brags because they're all awesome. Of course they are, because they were goals. If it's not awesome, then it's probably not a good goal. If you watch some of my other videos, I talked about how to set the right type of goal, because just long-term, mid-term, short-term is really important, but they have to be big goals that you've never achieved before. They have to be really exciting that, you're afraid to when you think of it at first. It's okay to be scared of it at first, but just don't get so scared that you don't do anything. Just take action anyway, and then the fear will eventually go away by the time you hit the goal. So let's see, got my black belt, I graduated with honors, and I got to study abroad in Japan. I got to live in Japan, which that was the goal. It was to live there, and I did for a year, which was plenty enough to fulfill the goal. I also lived in Korea, which was another one of my goals, and that that took years to build up to. I visited, and then maybe 10 years went by, and I had a goal to go back and live there, and I was late on that goal, but I still ended up hitting it. I was late on the black belt goal too, but I hit it anyway. And I married my wife. That I didn't think that was my goal to get married, but it was my goal definitely to meet someone special, although special is an overused word. Amazing. Those all took years to accomplish. Some goals, those are the ones, I climbed Mount Fuji, that was pretty fun, and stuff like that. So anyway, that's enough if I dig deep, I can start listing. There are some like financial ones that I've hit. and there are some that I don't want to share, but those are pretty powerful enough to at least, and all of the goals seemed impossible. I want to mention that. I never just assumed I would have a black belt. No way. I never, before I had it, that it wasn't just my assumption that I would get it. I wasn't sure. I should have been sure. Now that I understand how goals work, now that I've hit a bunch of my goals, I'm more sure of my goals, because after boom, 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 a bunch in a row, I mean, sometimes it'll go a while because my goals are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So sometimes it can be a while in between. So you do have to create small and midterm goals as well. So now that I talked a little bit about some of the amazing things I've been able to accomplish, which seemed impossible, because I got to go to Japan for free, and I went there with no money, and I came back with over $2,000 in my bank account. So that was another icing on the cake, and they're icing on some of these goals that just like life hacks that you can just get more because of how you made the goal, and you have to follow through and everything like that. That's for another video of how to actually follow through on it. Just get up and do it. That's the only way. But setting the goal is important, because what do you get up and do if you have no goal? You'll probably just do what other people tell you to do. So make your own habits, make them revolve around your own goals. So short-term goals, we talk about last. And we'll start with long-term goals. You want to start at the end because it's a progression. You progress from the end towards now when you're setting the goal. So you want to look to the end of your life. I know it sounds morbid, but just for this example's sake, think about on your deathbed and feeling totally fulfilled, or what do you want to have accomplished, and what's the situation you want for that. So start at the very end of your life, and then let's just say end of your career, so it doesn't disturb you too well, but that's the kind of thinking that we're going to be using. So the end of your career, maybe how old are you? What is the end of your career? Is it 90? Are you still working when you're 100? Some people love what they do and want to work their whole life. Some people hate what they do, and maybe you should quit now, but that's another topic. So at the end, just getting a visual image, which you have to visualize all this, is very important. That's how our brain works. It's very visual. So visualize what you want to have accomplished. And life's not all about accomplishments, but we're cybernetic organisms, which means we're goal seeking, which means if I want to touch the phone, I just reach out and touch it. If I want to touch just the lens, I can reach out and touch just the lens. But as a baby, we're more unstable. I wouldn't be able to find the lens, but right here I can go right to it, and there are a lot of muscles that make me go to point at the right spot, but I don't have to think about them. I just have a goal, and then boom, I touch. So a rocket works this way too. So a rocket blasts off, and then it has little flaps on the side, rudders, and as it goes off course, the rudders bring it back on. So as it fails, it comes back on. As it fails, it comes back on. So just like a baby, as they're reaching, as you grow up, as you grab whatever you wanted, of course it becomes conditioned, and you're conditioned to achieve the goal right away. So obviously Olympic athletes are conditioning themselves to perform every time, to win, to outperform, and to take it to the max. And they're not thinking about what they're doing mid-backstroke. They're programmed already, because we're cybernetic individuals, and that's just a really big word for that. We're goal seekers. That's how we are. So it's not all about achievements and money and stuff like that, but we are goal-seeking organisms. So you have to use that knowledge, that fact. It's a fact. You have to use that to your advantage and make goals for yourself. So start at the very end. Write down a list of 10 or 20 things that you want to have, and write them down in the present tense. I have this, I am that, I do that. Like, write it in the present, so that your vision, so when you read it and you think about it, you can see what it is. You don't write down, I want this, because when you look at that, you see want. And yeah, it might still work, but you might as well use every little hack you can get, and not leave it up to chance. That's how I do things. So I know how the brain works, and I know how clever, or how I can be influenced by suggestion. Can be very powerful. That's what I was going to say. Suggestions can be very, very powerful. So you want to suggest it in the present tense. I am this. I do this. I like to this. I eat this. I see this. You know what I mean? In the present tense. So, okay, then let's go to midterm goals. So midterm goals are in the next maybe 10 years. It depends on, you can be flexible with this. It can be anywhere. Midterm can be anywhere from the next 5 years, 5 years from now to 20 years. So in the next, it depends how old you are, really. Are you 8 years old? Then your midterm goals might be when you're 30, or, it might not be in the next 5 years. But so there's no exact way, but just get a good idea of how to think while you're making your goals. So again, go through midterm, and you can do spiritual goals, mental goals, family goals, career goals. You can do, there are 7 different areas I talk about in my other video, but just write down what you want, but write it in the present tense for the midterm. So 5 to 20 years from now, what do you want to have accomplished? And just start. What kind of house, what kind of location, what kind of business do you have, what kind of money do you have, what kind of family do you have, what kind of situation do you wake up in, what's your bed like, what's your bedroom, what's your what favorite things do you do, what's your favorite thing to eat, all that kind of stuff. You can get really detailed, and so that you can see it. That's the most important thing, is that you're visualizing and feeling. We're very visual creatures, and nothing really is real until you feel it. So you can think about it and write it down all you want, but really you got to internalize it, and that's why you write it in the present tense, so it helps you to visualize it and internalize it as if it's now. Because that will that will magnetize you for those things. Your thoughts are like little magnets for like thoughts. The way neuroscience works, and I like to add little bits of this into my videos, just a little bit, not to be boring, but your neurons in your brain cells are connected in a network. So if you strengthen, if you think about one certain thing all the time, that network of brain cells, because there's no one cell for each thought, there are different networks of cells, like different groups of cells for every thought. So the more you think about that, it strengthens it, like it strengthens it. Like imagine taking a line on with a pencil and just drawing a line. That's like thinking one time, and then you draw another line if you think about it again. And if you think about this all the time, imagine you keep scribbling with the pencil. If that's all you think about, it becomes a really wide road. So that's the way you can basically write into your physical brain what you want by thinking it alone. And that's why you want to be careful not to think about wanting it, because then you'll just reinforce that continuously and you'll want it forever. Is this making any sense? You don't want wanting. You want the actual thing. So don't think about how much you want. Just imagine you already have it and feel the grateful feeling of having it. If you get this, it's gonna instantly start work. It instantly starts working. The days that you're doing it and magnetizing and writing your goals down and thinking about them and acting on them, they'll start magnetizing right towards you. If you start thinking about, I'm gonna give you the opposite of this, but it's just for example. I don't want to go too deep for the sake, because suggestion is powerful, like I said. But if you can do this the opposite way, the negative way, and you can think about being frustrated about your goal. And then you're just going to be more frustrated because your brain cells are in a group. And if you're frustrated a million times, that is going to become the strongest thing. Is that frustration is going to become so big that it's going to kill your chances. Because every time you go to take action, your brain's going to be heckling you. Basically, that's a simple way to put it. So let's get back on track. So midterm goals, just write them out, 10 to 20 of them. And then short-term goals come last, and then after short-term, which is, from now to 5 years, or from a year from now to 5 years. And then you can also write year-to-date goals and have like from next year, exactly today, or by January 1st, you could do. And so there's like this year, this month, this week, today. You go backwards all the way, because it'll be clear to you after you don't do a to-do list first. That's the opposite. Most people make a to-do list of what they need to do today or this week. You see how that's the opposite of what I'm suggesting? Is that if you start at the end, and then what do these people, where do they get in their lives? They never get anywhere. Right? So to-do lists mostly freak me out and stress me out, but I do keep one, like, just because I have ideas nonstop. I got to keep writing them down so that I can have an assistant or someone else do it. Maybe I need to hire someone, or maybe someone already in my team. So short term, so the people that write the to-do lists have a bunch of meaningless garbage that they're doing day to day, and then where are they getting in the future? They're just paddling around in a little zigzag all over. Like, if you imagine the ship without a rudder, they're just going around any which way each day. And I see people burn out. They don't even know what they're doing all over the place. So don't let that be you. Map it out and you can change this at any time. It's not like you're stuck with your goal if you legitimately don't want those things anymore, change it, but don't give up on your goal just because other people are heckling you about it or annoying you about it or whatever. If you deep down truly want something else, tweak your goals and keep tweaking them every month, every year for sure. Keep checking, is this really what I want? And if it's really still what you want, then no matter how many times you failed at it, keep it your goal. So then you'll have from the end of your career till now. So the most important things are in mind, so that your priorities are your long-term goal, and the midterm goals should all be getting you towards your long-term goal, and your short-term goals should be getting you towards your midterm goal. You can be going, and the short-term goal can be going a little bit off course, but just like the cybernetics and the rocket, you're going to keep bringing it back, keep bringing it back. You might have to go off the path and make a little bit of money, or meet so-and-so, and then you'll get back towards your goal. You can go, but just make sure you're still going that way. Don't go backwards or sideways towards short-term goals. Don't go backwards or sideways towards short-term goals. A lot of people, including me, and I'm not just judging you, it's a tendency to lose track of this stuff. So you got to keep bringing it, keeping your long-term goal in mind. And then sometimes you'll find yourself, oh, why was I spending so much time on that? Or why was I stressing out so much about that? It has little to do with my long-term goal, or it has nothing to do. If it has nothing to do with your long-term goal, stop doing it. If it has nothing to do with your midterm goal, probably stop doing it. And but sometimes in the very short term, you need to go a little bit off. The more short term you get, you can go a little bit off track, but don't go sideways or backwards. And if you're wondering, are you going sideways or backwards? Get a coach or a mentor, or ask someone that knows what they're talking about. Not just anyone. Don't just ask your friends. They might be idiots. They probably are. No offense to them, but hey, it is what it is. Get better friends too. Get friends with goals. Talk to your friends about your goals. Line up with other people with the same long-term goal. Line up with other people with the same midterm goal. You might be around people short-term that aren't involved with your goal, but you want to get away and more towards the people that are going to be able to help you, or maybe you'll be helping them, and it'll be on the path to your midterm and long-term goal. I know, saying it like midterm, long-term goal sounds so rigid and unexciting, but when it's an actual goal that in your life, like imagine your goal, like a certain amount of money you want to make, and imagine it in your life, or a certain car you want. I mean, some people like material items, or maybe it's a vacation you want to take, or a gift you want to get your husband or wife, or whatever. It could be anything. But make it massive and make it amazing. Don't short sell yourself, especially the longer term, the bigger and bigger and bigger, because you'll figure it out by then. Don't worry if you know how to do any of it. That's a really important part of this. Do not think about how you're going to get it. If you've stuck with me through the video till this part, keep visualizing the goal as if you already achieved it, which means you should feel grateful. You should feel like celebrating. If it's a really good goal, you should be jacked out of your mind if you already achieved it. If you really believe it in your imagination, let your imagination believe it. Nothing will hurt you by using your imagination. And it just might, if it works like I'm saying it does, which it does, just might get you amazing things for free or little to no work. There's some actions, like there's some kind of work, but I wouldn't call this work like most people call work. This is fun and exciting. When you're hitting your goals, it doesn't feel like work. I wouldn't say it was work climbing Mount Fuji. That was fun. Although, I mean, someone would say that's work, is climbing a mountain. I wouldn't, it wasn't work. The goals that are great and fun, just make sure you're excited. Just make sure that you're so excited about when you actually visualize it and believe it, you should be like buzzing from how excited you are. And if you are not feeling good, it's because you're doubting it. So just stop doubting it. And it's not, the doubts are sneaky, and I have them just like you have them. But you have to just condition yourself to, it's just a doubt. I pay it less and less attention. Like, that's the only enemy. It's just the doubt. If I feel myself doubting, I try to, watch a video like this, or listen to really good music, or remember the last goal that you did hit, that you did accomplish. Maybe you just failed at one of your goals. Well, think of another goal that you accomplished. Remember how that good you felt when you accomplished that goal, and then get back on track towards your new goal. So use your past successes, even if they're tiny. This is why in the army they wake up and they make their bed right away, because it's a tiny little goal to get you going in the morning as a success. And that sounds silly, but if you're successful, you understand. And keep stacking these little successes on top of each other until you get a big success that you can feel braggish about. But don't brag to people who don't care. Like, I'm just telling you those things because it was related to my message. So have an amazing day on purpose. I'm going to wrap this up. I did it again in less than 30 minutes, which was my goal. I'm at 27 minutes. Perfect. So hit some amazing goals, set some amazing goals. Let's make the world a better place. Why not? People are always spouting that kind of language, but let's actually step it up. Write them down, starting from the long term, working backwards to now, and then you'll have it mapped out. You'll see, I have this, I have this, I have this, and mapped from the long to now, and then just wake up every day and you'll just start moving into action towards your short term. And if you don't know what to do, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. You have to figure it out. But don't let the how am I going to do it question stop you, because the Wright brothers didn't know how they were going to fly. The people didn't know how they were going to go to the moon, if that was legit actually happened. The people didn't, the first billionaire didn't know how they were going to do it, which I think that was Andrew Carnegie, or he was the richest man in the world. Equivalent to a billionaire, but you don't have to know how you're going to get there yet. Just map it all out, write it down. It should make you feel good. Start feeling that energy when you visualize it, and then just when you get up in the morning, go for it. That's the entire roadmap. So if you have questions, comments, stories of amazing goals that you've hit, or big goals that you have for the future, don't tell everyone your goals, because they'll trash talk you and they might try to stop you. But you can tell us your goal in the comments, because this is a good community and we have awesome viewers that are all positive. So share it with positive people that can help you achieve it. That's for sure, and definitely you want to do that. So we'll see you in the next video. Have an amazing day on purpose. It's not just going to happen by accident. And I'll see you very soon. Peace.